Hi, my name is Kate Madden, and I live in Vancouver, British Columbia. In today's video, I want to talk about 5 reasons your organization wants to hire a trans person. As well, if you're a trans person watching this, I've got a tip at the end for some ways to make the recruitment process a little bit more comfortable for you. If that sounds like something you might gain value from, stick around and let's get at it. I want to be clear that I don't speak for all trans people, but chances are, if you know me or you're watching this through LinkedIn, I'm the only trans person you know. And so with that, I just want to go over some of the things I've learned through the last 4 months of looking for work here in Vancouver. Had a chance to apply for dozens of jobs, and it's kind of like online dating. Sometimes the recruiter ghosts you, the hiring manager ghosts you, and you just never know. Other times, they get back to you with some feedback. You didn't quite have the right qualifications or enough experience, or culturally speaking, it just wasn't the right fit, or they had a great internal candidate. The exception of one time, I know that being trans or my social media profile hasn't ever really come into play. But yeah, that one time still kind of burns a little, and I take satisfaction that they're still looking for a person with my qualifications. But at any rate, I think one of the things that I have learned, and this isn't trans specific, but is the amount of loyalty that the employer will engender. And I think in Vancouver, in British Columbia, in Canada, as trans people, trans folks, we're pretty lucky legislatively speaking. We do have protection under the law where we're a protected class of people. However, elsewhere, I can only imagine what it's like in the US, especially in some states down in the South and what have you, and just seeing what's going on in the different state legislature for trans kids, how heartbreaking it must be. And so I know with those organizations down in the States or the UK with the Gender Recognition Act, there's a real opportunity to bring on talented people. Here's a fun fact. 70% of trans people in Canada have a post-secondary education. Here's another fact. 50% make less than $15,000. And so I think you have an opportunity to engender a tremendous amount of loyalty with that employee. And when you look at the multiple generations in the workplace today, from the millennials all the way up to the baby boomers, retention is a serious consideration. And trans people exist across all of those generations. It's not that it's contagious, it's that it's safe now for us to come out. And so I think you get a chance to engender that loyalty and increase your employee retention, as well as impact your recruitment efforts across the diversity spectrum, inclusion and diversity. It's not so much hitting a quota, but inclusion is having the diversity of thought and creating space for that diversity of thought to be part of the conversation. If you have the same type of person sitting around the table, you're going to have the same type of thought when you encounter a problem in business. And so whether that diversity of thought is across socioeconomic background, across cultural backgrounds, gender backgrounds, educational backgrounds, having a trans person at the table, I think, gives a different perspective on the problem, the situation, or the customer focus that you're trying to bring to the conversation. Because reason number 3 is a lot of us, in order to survive, disassociated from our emotions while we were in the closet. And as a result of reconnecting with those emotions, and most of us are required under different government regulations to go get therapy and prove that we're not crazy, because what sane person wants to change their gender, right? And so, we've had a chance to get in touch with a lot of those emotions and develop a level of empathy that I think not a lot of folks have, where that sense of compassion we're able to bring that to the business in a way that helps us with problem solving, and it helps us with interpersonal communication, interpersonal relationships. And I think the great definition of empathy isn't so much feeling sorry for someone, but feeling with that person. And a lot of us have had to choose life. We've come to a point in our life where it was transition or death. And having faced that down, it doesn't get much harder than that. And so being able to sit with a difficult problem, a difficult client's situation, a difficult management situation, we're able to work our way through that in a way that perhaps someone who hasn't encountered those difficulties, maybe at a younger age, an older age, would be able to. Because reason number 4 is because we've had that opportunity to face death down or to walk away from a previous life and just blow it all up, is we have this level of imagination and creativity that some people just don't. We've had the opportunity to rebuild our lives, to understand our identity, to step into that, to choose who we are in the world and how the world sees us. And if you can apply that level of creativity and imagination to getting up in the morning, imagine what you could do to a business process. Imagine what you could do with a difficult client situation. Just imagine. And I think that's one of the great things about transition is you're given this powerful gift of imagination to create your whole new life. And it's one of my favorite things actually, of moving into the authenticity of who I am as a person. And I always was creative, but to just have that creativity explode and be on fire in a way that it never was before has been incredible. And how I allowed that to inform my business decisions as well. Finally, I think the 5th reason why you want to consider hiring a trans person is the level of self-awareness that was required by us to enter into this whole new life. I've talked about at length the self-awareness and resiliency that has been required to change your whole life over like that. But when you're dealing with a difficult business situation, or even just normal, mundane, day-to-day, sitting in front of Excel or Word, you can manage through those feelings of boredom, those feelings of excitement, the up and down of the business world. So there's 5 reasons why you want to consider hiring a trans person in your organization. And if you're a trans person and you've been watching this far, here's a little tip that I do. So when I'm applying for a job, I always make sure to A, include my pronouns in the resume, cover letter, and then in the follow-up email from the recruiter. And then I also direct the recruiter or the hiring manager to go to my LinkedIn profile, where I have a couple of these videos up there, so there's no mistaking it. And what makes me a lot more comfortable is when I can tell the recruiter or the hiring manager has done that, because you can see them, they pop up in your profile, but then also when they call you or you go to meet them, it's a lot more, there's no surprises. So thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, share. What might be a great help is if you check out this video right here below, and here's to life.